Good evening, everybody. This is the Modern Guru. I'm doing another video tonight. Let's get this out of the way from the start. I am not a financial advisor. All of this is my opinion. This is for informational purposes only or entertainment value, whatever you want to call it. I'm just giving you my opinion on, the topics at hand that relate to cryptocurrencies. Tonight, I am doing a video on LiteCoin and why I think and why I use personally LiteCoin as a store of value as opposed to any other cryptocurrency. In the past, I've done videos on LiteCoin in regards to why it was such a high percentage of my portfolio. There's going to be things that I said in that video that may filter into this video as well, but there's also going to be new stuff that I'm going to talk about as pertains to why I use it as a store of value. And I will continue to do so moving forward. I had a lot of questions, during these downtimes or sideways consolidation periods. I get a lot of questions. It's not just one or two people. It's actually quite a few people on what they should be doing with their money during these situations. And, there's a couple different things you can do. I mean, you can attach it to Tether, USDT. Some people don't want to do that because they don't trust Tether. Some people do, and it's worked for them. I haven't personally used Tether just yet, but I have considered it in a couple of different situations that we've been in. But that's separate. Let's get into why I think LiteCoin is a strong play when it comes to saving the value of your fiat that you have invested in the market. First of all, I like LiteCoin and I like Bitcoin as a store of value. What does that mean? So the protection of your asset that you've invested in cryptocurrencies. When there's a downturn, they won't sink as much as some of the other currencies are. Why? Okay, so first reason that I believe is the case here is LiteCoin and Bitcoin have been around forever. They've stood the test of time since the very beginning. LiteCoin was the second cryptocurrency. Bitcoin was obviously the first. They are currencies, okay? They are used as currencies, both of them. Bitcoin has struggled recently, in the last 5 months with high fees and slower times for a variety of reasons. Some were engineered that way, some were not. It just depends on how you look at it, on your perspective. Litecoin is also a currency. Bitcoin Cash is a currency. Monero is a currency. Dash is a currency. But why Litecoin? Why am I putting so much money into Litecoin? Because it stood the test of time. It's the fastest. It's the cheapest. I think that when we eventually get to the adoption stages, what does that mean? Like when financial systems adopt these, when governments adopt these, that is what the first stage of adoption looks like. Right now, we're still in mass speculation. This is speculative markets. There's a bunch of currencies, but there's also techs. There's also launching platforms like Ethereum or Neo. All people are doing right. Ethereum is creating ICOs, so that they are doing something. They are creating something of value. Depends on which ICO you're talking about. Some of these ICOs that have been launched are absolute garbage. It's not the fault of Ethereum, but Ethereum also does have serious issues. They've lost a lot of money for their ICOs that they've launched out of it because they have problems with their code. They have problems with their tech. Now, I'm no tech wizard or engineering, crypto engineer, aficionado. I know the very basics, and over the last 6 months, I've delved into it, if that's even a word, a lot more, and to gain a far greater amount of knowledge in regards to these things. But yeah, I mean, like there's so much that goes in, but Ethereum has so many problems, guys, that just aren't discussed. I don't know why they're not discussed, but the majority of YouTubers and posts on Steam, posts on Reddit, sometimes they talk about it a little bit, but like the main communication the people that really get have a big following out there, where they're able to get more information to far more people, they don't really discuss all the problems that Ethereum has. I think there's a cap to Ethereum's value, and that's a really important point. Do I think Ethereum is done growing in price? No, no, not at all. I think it still has a long way to go, but I think there is a major cap to it. Currencies are determined by their use and perception. So all of mankind, when we were bartering, 5,000 years ago, and then we went to, gold and silver, precious metals that, one's culture could trade with another traveling culture. There was like a perceived value amongst many different factions and cultures and governments that existed in their little mini states or countries, whatever you want to call them, city states, like Rome, etc. They had gold and silver as perceived value. They accepted it. Merchants accepted it for payment for goods and services. And then that became really heavy to carry around, right? And there was always the threat of robbers on the road, who would, stop a wagon, hold them up, just like they were old school carjackings, if you will. They steal their gold and silver. So what happened? So they came up with a different form. They used gold notes. So gold notes, there was notes. All right, that you will receive this amount of value when you arrive at this bank, wherever you or city that you were going to, and the notes would be carried instead of actual physical gold and silver, to protect people from getting jacked on the roadways. That's kind of, if a lot of people have heard about them in the past, they're called the Knights Templar. They protected pilgrims on the road from Europe down into Jerusalem, into the Middle East. The Knights would basically protect people who are traveling on those roads, because they were so dangerous without them there. For all your belongings or your gold, silver, whatever forms of money, or like valuable items that you had in your possession, they would protect you. So then we moved on to, gold or silver backed debt notes, actual money. So that was what we're getting closer to present day now. And then, that was due to governments and their inability to control their own growth or their own destruction of economies. They had to get off gold and silver backed. I mean, it's not just our present day governments. Rome did this too. They inflated the hell out of their currency. Silver, I think it was the lire. I can't remember. God, I'm getting old. But they totally inflated their currency. Their silver used to be, 1 full ounce in their coins, and then it got to only 60%, and then only 40% was silver, then only 20%. Then only 5% of each coin was silver. So they were inflating the hell out of their currency because they had so many expenditures, and the value of their money was destroyed. And that was one of the main reasons why the empire fell. There was others too, but financial reasons played a huge role. But getting back to the currency, so our U.S. government, and I'm from the United States, our government took us off the gold standard in the 70s under Richard Nixon because we were going to attach it to another commodity. We attached it to oil. We made deals with the Saudis, which is why we have such a lovey-dovey relationship with the Saudis, even though they're one of the most vile governments that has ever existed on planet Earth. And you don't hear about them in the news being vile, disgraceful, horrible human beings or a horrible culture in many ways. Because our mass media is very comfortable with our military-industrial complex. If you watch the major mainstream news sources, you'll see, and during commercial breaks, there's people, all the advertisers on there are, aircraft builders, pharmaceutical companies, right on down the line. Our mass media is not going to attack the people that pay for their own newscasters, huge salaries on television. You'll never see Rachel Maddow go after one of the pharmaceutical companies because it is not in their best interest to do so. They got to keep that money flowing. And not to just attack her. I mean, that's across the board. I just use her as an example. Most government and the blending of government and media has already taken place. And I don't think there's any going back until the whole system melts down. But that's a tale for another time. I get on these tangents. Sorry, guys, but hopefully it's entertaining. So we got off the gold standard. We had U.S. dollars then backed by oil, which is now called the petrodollar. We've been for the last 40 years, we've been sending our ships, our troops all over the world to any places that exist that threaten the U.S. petrodollar. We make up some reason why we're going in there, so the U.S. citizenry will get behind it and not cause too much trouble over it. But ultimately, most of the wars that we fought in history, the vast majority, our skirmishes is what we call them, are over the protection of our US dollar, because we have the ability to print it as much as we want and stick the world and our own citizens with the devaluation of its currency. But we still can pay our bills, or at least we can pay the interest, what is owed on our bills, and nothing shuts down. We don't turn into a banana republic where everything melts down. And the other countries in the world buy our debt. Why is that? Because their central banks, in order to buy gold, or excuse me, buy oil, buy energy, and other things too, but mostly that, they have to keep US dollars on reserve because they can only pay the Saudis in US dollars. So they have to buy and hold US Treasury notes in their central banks. This is one, either call it a extremely amazing scheme we came up with to protect our prestige and influence around the world, or you can call it, depending on your perspective, one giant scam. I don't care how you perceive it. We're focusing on money for today. So what's going on in the world right now? China is, and Russia are, and the BRICS nations, they are trying to slowly take themselves off the nipple of the US dollar. They've been flirting with ideas, many different ideas, but a gold-backed yuan, a gold-backed ruble. They're going around sanctions when the U.S. imposes sanctions on countries like our friends since World War II, Germany. The Russians have found a way to go around sanctions. They're going around the SWIFT system, and they're actually trading with Germany against our wishes. So there's a lot of countries around the world that are starting to say fuck you to the United States government, not to the people, to the fucking government. Let's be real here. And tell them that their reign of terror or their reign of dominance is more fragile than they believe it to be. The U.S. still has the greatest fucking military on the planet. They outspend the next greatest, I think it's 14 nations combined. Our military power is unbelievable, and it has to be for a reason, because we have to be able to protect the petrodollar. If we lose the petrodollar, all hell will fucking break loose. You will see massive meltdowns in the United States economically. It'll be far worse than any of the incessant whining and complaining over gender or basically skin pigment politics that you see today. It would be far worse than any school shooting or any tragedy. We would have a complete fucking breakdown of all basic societal functions if the petrodollar crashed and we actually started to owe the debt, the trillions and fucking trillions of dollars that the United States owes to many different people, to its central bank, to other nations. So yeah, that is very important. So those other countries are trying to go around it right now, and they're starting to have success. Now, how long into the future will the rest of the world be able to get off the petrodollar? I don't think it'll ever be, I don't think it'll be within a 2-3 year time frame. We're talking about 5 to 10 years. It could go sooner. There's all kinds of things that can happen in flashpoints, which creates some. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't pretend to be psychic. I don't think that I know everything about the world or its geopolitics, but I do know that all fiat currencies eventually fail. All the world's banks, major banks, are insolvent. The world stock markets are extremely inflated with fiat currency backed by nothing. Not gold, not silver, not even oil, the euro. They just print it. They just keep printing it and printing it and printing it and keep propping these banks up. The derivatives that exist, which are mass weapons of financial destruction, are everywhere. They've basically infiltrated everything in the economic systems, and they will just melt down the economy. So there has to be something in place to fix this, right? Now that we're over the doom and gloom of my last basically 8 minutes here of discussing this. Well, I believe that everything is going to be transferred into the new system, which new system is cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies can blanket these derivatives. They can take governments off printing presses. Governments would actually have to start operating properly and efficiently and fiscally responsible, which basically no governments on earth right now, except for very small few, if there even is few. I know some of the northern European countries have decent economies at the present time, but they're still also propped up as well. So, it's debatable. I don't want to get into that, but the cryptocurrencies can envelop all of those derivatives. They can save mankind from a massive, massive meltdown. And once the U.S. melts down, you will see many banks all over the world melt down that are holding U.S. dollars. So this would not be a pleasant experience if we don't have an emergency backup plan to revert to. This is why I think the SEC, the CFTC, and congressional members, when they had the meeting a month ago, or a little bit over a month ago, then they had the meeting, they were so positive about this. They don't really have a choice. We have to go to something, right, folks? We can't just have the whole world melt down and everyone die. There would be a lot of death in a situation like this. You think the Great Depression was bad if you read the history books. This would make the Great Depression look like absolutely nothing compared to what would happen when the world melts down from the banksters and what they've done over the past 100 years. So, cryptocurrencies, and the ones that I'm talking about tonight, are actual currencies. LiteCoin, Bitcoin, okay? Those are the two big ones, in my opinion, the two great ones, the two ones that have been around the longest. I think Bitcoin Cash has a place in all of this. To what level, I don't know. I don't think it eventually will scale. But for this purposes of this video, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and we're going to talk about Litecoin. Currencies, not technologies, not dApps built on platforms. They're actual currencies. They have no cap. Remember what I talked about earlier in the video about Ethereum having a cap to what it can actually be worth eventually? Yes, it'll hit a ceiling. Bitcoin and Litecoin will be worth based on what its adoption is and how much use it has. Eventually, at some point in time, I think both of these coins are going to be fucking monsters. Right now, the way Bitcoin was engineered, it was engineered as a store of wealth for the crypto markets, for money to flow into and hold on to. I think this was done purposely. I think this was done intelligently for a lot of reasons. And I think Litecoin, which is basically the first fork, it was a fork of Bitcoin done by Charlie Lee, is the perfect currency. Now, does that always mean that will always be the case? I don't know, because anything can happen. But right now, with all the information that we have currently in place and knowledge that we have available to us currently, that is the case. And once these things start getting adopted, once the financial environment is secure, I know the SEC is going after, right, in many cases, rightly so, some of these ICOs, they'll securitize them because they are securities. They should be going after them to protect the American public and to also make big time, let's just be honest, super rich people make them feel more comfortable taking their money out of real estate, yachts, paintings, and moving that into an actual digital currency, many of which these people don't have a fucking clue still of what it even is. They just know they want to protect their wealth, but they're scared to put their money in because it's volatile. So the SEC is setting the paywork. The CFTC, a federal judge, ruled yesterday, or was it this morning? A federal judge ruled that the CFTC can now regulate cryptos as commodities, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Love it. These things are all getting into place now. The pieces of the puzzle are coming in. Right now, the markets, we had a huge crash that didn't help. Well, it depends on your perspective. It helped because if when Bitcoin goes from 6,000 to 20,000 in 4 weeks, that's scary, folks. That's not healthy. When it gets retraction, when major retraction like that, and it all seems like all hell is breaking loose, it's a good thing in a certain aspect. You don't want the markets to blow up too fast. And speaking of which, not to go back here, but Bitcoin and LiteCoin, they're currencies. A fucking currency cannot be a bubble, folks. A currency isn't a bubble by nature. Markets can be bubbles, but currencies aren't. These are finite. There's 80 million plus LiteCoin. There's 21 million plus Bitcoin that'll ever be made. They're not a bubble. The value that is going to be attached to them is based on use cases. And if fiat fucking dies, like you see the Russian government, Putin saying he's adopting cryptos, they're going to have legislation in place on July 1st. China, on the surface, China does a lot of stupid shit. They say a lot of dumb shit, but it's all done by design because they're a communist nation, but they want to control everything, every aspect. But China is letting the world know, we're going to ban exchanges. We are going tough on crypto, while they're working with NEO, folks, on being the ICO launcher. And NEO has a bunch of ICOs that are ready to go on its platform right now that are going to be used by the Chinese government. They're picking their winners right now. They're picking who's going to move them into the future. They know that digital currency is the ultimate answer to many of the world's issues. China, just watch a documentary on China right now. People don't use cash anymore. They literally don't even have cash. If you walk on the streets of Beijing and you try to pay a merchant with paper yuan, they scoff at you. Everyone is using their phones. All of these merchants, from a shoe salesman to somebody selling scorpion sticks on the side of the fucking street right there, they have barcodes that you use your phone, you log on, it goes trades right in from your phone into their accounts. They're far in advance of the United States. We are far behind them. Even Russia in certain ways is ahead of us right now as far as technology goes. We have dinosaur banks that don't want to change. They don't want to go through the pain of changing. Banks are slow. They're dinosaurs. It still takes me 9 days. 9 freaking days to get a wire transfer from my bank account into Coinbase to buy some LiteCoin. That's asinine, folks. There's no reason for this. The banks need to freaking adjust. They're just kicking and screaming the whole way. But eventually they're going to, or they're just going to be cut out of everything. And I know that some understand this and are starting to realize this, that they're going to have to change some things moving forward, and they're going to have to start adopting things, make sure they're not left out of the new age of technology and what cryptos bring. But anyways, so yeah, the future is being set in motion. Bitcoin and LiteCoin are going to be used as currencies. The question is not whether they're going to be used. The question is when. When is all of these things going to be adopted? Well, we've seen the first stages of governmental bodies. Look at Venezuela right now. Venezuelan people have survived because of Dash. They literally have survived. Their currency was worthless. They've been buying things with Dash to save their freaking families and everything. It's crazy how much they've been mining Dash down there for the last 2 years. Their president wants to institute their own Venezuelan cryptocurrency. But here's the problem with centralized cryptocurrencies. They can be manipulated just like fiat can. You're just trading out one bullshit, Venezuelan fiat currency for the next one. It's just tokenized. The whole reason that Bitcoin was created was to decentralize, to take the power away from banksters and governments to manipulate and cheat you. So if you are buying centralized currencies like XRP, well, you're defeating the whole purpose of the whole ecosphere. I know everybody ultimately cares about money. Some people are in this for more than just money. They're in it for technology as well. That's fine and dandy. But XRP is going to be a pump and dump. The token's not even being used, folks. It's the technology. The token's pointless. It's not. It doesn't serve any purpose even in Ripple's system currently. Plus, the owners have 60% of it on reserve, which they could drop on you at any moment and destroy it. It's a very dangerous thing. If you want to play with fire, you go right ahead and play with fire. I am not your financial advisor, but be forewarned. I hate Ripple. There's reasons why I hate it. I don't hate things just to hate things. That's not how I operate. I actually believe in cryptocurrency. I believe in what they originally were designed for, which is to decentralize governments. I love LiteCoin because LiteCoin as a store of value, which after that long road we got finally to this point here. I love LiteCoin as a store of value even over Bitcoin right now because LiteCoin has outperformed Bitcoin over the last year and change, and I think it's going to continue to outperform Bitcoin. Could I be wrong? Sure. Anybody can be wrong. Nobody has crystal balls. Like I said earlier, I'm not a psychic. I don't have, all I have are gut feelings and information that I process and I put puzzles together. I've always been good, even when I was a little kid, at putting puzzles together. So this is why I put so much money into LiteCoin, because even during these dips and sideways consolidations, some of my favorite chartists, the TAs that I watch, who are right so many times over the last year and a half, they've been wrong. They've been wrong. Nobody is perfectly 100% accurate in any of this. No web bots. I love Cliff Hyde, but his web bots, granted that web bot prediction was from over a year ago, but like, there people that use psychics on their shows and whoever else out there that uses whatever stimuli they have in front of them to come to these decisions. That's all fine and dandy. I use logic and reason, or I try to use them in every single thing I do. And putting this puzzle together, LiteCoin is, to me personally, the safest investment I can make inside cryptocurrencies right now. I work hard for my money. I know you guys do too, most of you. So when I get my money, I want it to go and be making more money for myself. I don't want it sitting in a checking account getting pittance. Nothing, making nothing. I don't want it in a savings account, which also doesn't even cover the cost of inflation of the U.S. dollar and the printing presses. Like your actual inflation that we have does not even cover what they pay you in a savings account. So you're actually losing money every day it sits there. I would rather have my credit unions incentivize me to put my money in their fucking credit union accounts if they actually would have crypto investment portfolios where you could sit down with somebody and say, okay, hey, Mr. Massey, we have a checking account, which you'll get nothing, a savings account, which you'll get nothing, or we have this crypto account, and we can show you how it's outperformed the U.S. stock market, checking and saving by thousands of percent. I would go, let me take that one, okay? Oh, they're extremely volatile, sir. Well, how volatile? Let me look at the chart. Oh, it was only last November. We're up double from last November, and we just went through a 60% market crash just a month ago, or a little over a month ago. Yeah, sign me up. Sure, let's go. At least I have the chance to make some money. Whereas with checking and savings, I make nothing. Nothing. It's garbage. I could have my money sit in that account for 2 years and I end up with like $5. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, bank. You guys are amazing. Do I want to invest in the stock market? Well, the stock market's totally inflated. Fiat currency has been being printed, not even printed, digitized, sent to these corporations that are subsidized. There's 4 giant corporations that have led the stock market for the last year and a half. You know who they are. They're getting federal money from the Federal Reserve at 0% interest, and they're repatriating their own stocks. They're buying their own stocks back, which causes the price to keep increasing. Most stocks are not performing well right now. The majority of stocks are not performing well right now. It's the big tech giants that are moving it forward. And like, I think that thing's gonna blow, and it's gonna blow. It's not. That's another one. It's not a matter of if. It's when is it gonna happen. We just had a fucking a total blowout in '07, and the blowout that's gonna happen from this is gonna be far worse than what happened in '07. There's more derivatives now than there was then, and almost all the nations are completely broke. So like, who, you're just gonna have the populace pay for it again? Like 90% of the people, when they did polls on this, Rasmussen polls regarding this, they said 90% of the people were absolutely not in favor of another bailout. They're already setting the population up for this again. You guys gotta be awake, man. This is you can't. The stock market is not a safe hideaway. It was since '07. But not anymore. And I don't want to play with fire. I want to find something else to invest in that makes me money. Local economy, local businesses to invest in, I haven't seen any that I really liked, nor do I trust the way that I see markets going right now, where the middle class is being smashed. Smaller mom and pop stores are being destroyed. Amazons of the world are basically putting all these companies out of business, and a lot of it is, once again, subsidized money from our capitalist financial system. I thought in capitalism there was no subsidization. You either won or you lost based on your own merits. Not today. Our government picks winners and losers because we are crony capitalists or communist versions of communism and socialism. All the isms that aren't capitalism are basically garbage, and even capitalism has its major issues. But it is far better system than any that I have ever seen or studied in all my travels or my classes that I've taken over my lifetime or books I've read. It makes the most sense from many different standpoints, far more than the others and their standpoints, at least to me. So, you're looking at where do you put your money, and I decided I was going to put it in cryptos. And in the last 4 months, I've made an educated decision that I believe on my part to invest it heavily in LiteCoin. Its founder, its development team, how fast it is, its cost so cheap. Anytime I move money in the crypto markets, I in and out of exchanges or onto my NOS or wherever it may be, I'm using LiteCoin. Because it moves, baby. I'm not sitting around waiting 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours for my shit to show up. Unless there's something wrong with the exchange, of course. But with LiteCoin itself, man, that thing flies, baby. It's the best currency available to us right now. And it's only going to get better and better. And when it comes time for mass adoption, some guys are like, oh, well, Amazon's going to start their own coin. Or JP Morgan's going to start their own coin, and LiteCoin will be worthless. Do you understand how difficult it is to do that, and how much time it takes to perfect it, and there's many other aspects that go into it too. I don't want this video is already getting super long, but it's not just like, oh, poof, magically Amazon's got a coin, they're ready to go. Facebook's got their own coin. Oh, LiteCoin and Bitcoin are dead. That's not how it works, folks. Litecoin and Bitcoin are there. They have stood the test of time for a reason, because people have trust in them. They trust the technology. They trust the security. People, as far as I know, want all these huge corporations to start accepting crypto as payment. They want the merchants around the world to start adopting crypto as payment. I know I do. There are far many that didn't sound right. There are many people around the world that want cryptos utilized, especially people in countries abroad who don't have access to bank accounts, but all have access to cell phones. They want to use cryptos. This is an untapped market that a lot of these tech, like Omisi Go, that are trying to get this implemented. So these people that are unbanked will now have banks. And this thing is looking so phenomenal into the future. The last part is in all this too. Say that LiteCoin isn't adopted at the rate that I hope it to be, which is quick. Let's say it takes another year. Fine. In August of next year, Litecoin is going to go through its halving, which means that it's going to drop its inflation rate from 10% down to 4%. Okay, when Bitcoin did this, Bitcoin launched. Litecoin will also launch. What is a halving? What does that mean? So miners mine on their GPU units and their computers, or they mine Bitcoin and they mine Litecoin, and then once they mine it, they do what with it? To make money for all their costs of mining in their businesses. They sell it on exchanges, right? Sometimes they hold on to it until the price rises, then they sell it. Sometimes they sell it right away. But either way, the actual ability for them to mine Litecoin is going to drop from 10% down to 4%. So the actual, what that means is that it'll be harder to mine. So you're going to have 6% decrease in how much is available. So like right now, every day it costs, it's like 20 something $million of new investment. I don't know the exact number on, so don't quote me on that, but I know it's in the millions. Every day, millions and millions of dollars of new investment has to come in just to supplant the amount of Litecoin that's entering into the market from the miners, right? So if it doesn't have that money come in, whatever's being sold on the market actually drags that price of Litecoin down. So there's never equal because of the mining inflation. You have to have a certain amount of money come in every day to supplant the amount of coins that are coming into the market. And so that's going to get hacked, and the price of Litecoin is going to jump in August. That I am more convinced of that than anything else, and I'm quite convinced about a lot of things about Litecoin. So if I have to hold it for another year and 4 months or whatever it is, okay. I mean, I'm still far more comfortable with my money sitting in Litecoin than my money would be sitting in a checking banking account or the U.S. stock market. So the cryptos is patience. I've got some friends that have been listening to me, watching me, and they said they got into the markets, and they bought Litecoin, and they were like, oh, a week later I sold it. I couldn't deal with it. This is more than one person, right? You guys got to be patient. Patience is the key with cryptos. You cannot try to trade this shit when you don't know what you're doing. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get smoked. You might have some minor victories, but I highly, highly do not recommend that you try to become a day trader when you are a complete novice or a noob in the entire arena. It's just not smart. But to each their own. However you want to handle it's your money. And like I've said, I am not a financial advisor. I'm just trying to help people on here and make them at least think about what they do before they do it, or think about why they're doing what they're doing. So you just have to be careful. But Litecoin will eventually go up when that halving comes into place. And there are so many more unbelievable things that you should be excited about when it comes to Litecoin. Charlie Lee is awesome. The company is awesome. The development team is awesome. Their community on Twitter is amazing. There's so many people that are super stoked about Litecoin. There's so much when it ramps up, there's so much volume on that coin that it's just ready to explode. And I think it's been artificially held down. Like if you want to talk about some weird, shady shit that was going on, let's talk about in December at Coinbase or some of the other exchanges when they just shut down. There were times when you couldn't even buy Litecoin. So what happened? Did they run out of Litecoin? It's quite possible. They actually ran out of Litecoin. There wasn't enough. They had to shut the coin down. They had to shut accounts down from buying more of it. I believe that's one of the aspects to it. But they also want to make sure that this thing doesn't go too crazy too fast. And I don't have a lot of evidence to support that. Just looking at it from a logical perspective. And I add it to a bunch of the other things that I think about when I make my investments. Are there other great cryptos out there? Yeah, there sure is. But I do not feel comfortable with, other than Bitcoin and Litecoin, I do not feel comfortable putting the amount of money that I have invested in it in anything else out there. I don't, because the altcoins, half the ICOs that were launched last year have already failed. And people say, other crypto and YouTubers all talk about and pump these altcoins. And half of them haven't even made it to present day, and another half of them, of that half, a lot of those coins are sketchy, real sketchy. I don't want to say they're scams, but they're real sketchy. Their visions for the future and what their coin is going to do are at best unicorns. So just be careful. Like I always say, be careful in these markets. Be careful in what you invest in. There are coins that I think are very safe to invest in for a variety of reasons, and there are coins that I wouldn't even buy to, other than to just watch them pump and then unload them. You can make money that way. I will tell them. I know most people are getting into this like money. They like most people that I talk to actually care quite a bit about the reasons why Bitcoin and Litecoin were created. But ultimately, I think their most motivating factor is profit, and I get it. I understand. I like money too. I want to make profit, guys. So I would never bash anyone for doing what they have to do to survive and make money, take care of their families, pay off their houses, pay off their cars, whatever bills you got. Make a little extra income on the side to help you make it through each month that you're alive. And I know how tough it is for a lot of people out there right now. So cryptos are a fantastic way to make some money, especially long term, when we see that old system transfer into the new system. But this video is now almost 40 minutes long. I went a lot longer than I thought I was going to go tonight. I'm sorry, guys. But I think I had some valuable stuff I wanted to talk about tonight as far as Litecoin being a store of value, and to ease people's concerns with a lot of the sideways consolidation that we've been dealing with in cryptos. I think cryptos are still a fantastic investment, and we're going to see this thing start picking up soon. I think you're seeing a bunch of different entities putting things in place right now. The puzzle's coming together. I thought we would already be raging upwards by now, going into the second week of March. But I was wrong about that, so maybe it'll be this week, or maybe potentially it won't start occurring till spring. Who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a wizard. I'm just Phil, the modern guru, and I'm here to try to help you guys. I have a little fun along the way. So if you like the video, please subscribe or poke that like button. It helps me get my content out to a lot more humans out there. And trolls too, but I just want to reach as many people as possible. Maybe you can help me with that. If not, that's fine too. Thank you for watching. Also, I leave a comment down in the comments section. I will respond. I can't guarantee I'll respond right away, but I will mix it up with you guys. I love to do so. That's really it. I'm out. Fucking hodl. Everyone just hold tight. We're looking good. The future's looking bright. Hodl, be strong, be patient, understand the dynamics of everything that's going on right now, and you will be okay. That's it. So everyone have a wonderful evening. I love everybody. See you soon.